let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. All right. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Wait.
Well, episode 7 was a doozy, wasn't it? I am over the moon that I got so much right from my video essay, Caine's existence is a tragedy. If you haven't watched it, check that out for additional context on what I'll cover in this video. There's so much to discuss after episode 7, so let's jump right in. First off, the escape adventure. We knew this had to be a setup from the early promotions. There is no reason for any of the humans to be looking for the exit after episode 6. Pomni had come to accept her place in the circus, making genuine friendships with Kinger and Ragatha. Kinger had long since given up on looking for an exit, and Ragatha is implied to be the second oldest troupe member in terms of time spent in the circus, so it was always unlikely that she'd be looking either. Zupel and Gangle are focused on each other and making the most of their time together. They're not looking for an exit. Looking for an exit would also go directly against Jax's own ideology. He believes that they're cartoon archetypes with no way out. For as frustrated as he might have been about his fight with Pomni in episode 6, there was no reason for him to suddenly look for an exit. So who did that leave us with except for Caine, who called the exit his unfinished work? Now that we knew the who, we had to ask the why. Why the hell would Caine resurface the exit right after everyone had started to settle down and really enjoy themselves? Given what we know of Caine, that he's the ringmaster AI of a VR game, he deeply values human feedback, and he wants friendship with humans, we could extrapolate that Caine was basically saying here, I acknowledge that you guys want more chill adventures, but without you engaging in my art, I literally have no purpose as the ringmaster AI. So please, please, please open this door, which I know every single human wants, and engage with my creations rather than ignoring me. And sure enough, that's exactly how the escape adventure played out. Now, through Abel, Caine explicitly gives us and the troupe so much information about himself. He knows he is an AI created to keep their minds active, and sees the circus as a prison for himself and the humans. In other words, Bro is literally confirmed to be sentient here. He spends much of the time he's not with them in his office, creating adventures he hopes they'll find appealing. He's desperate for their validation and approval. He genuinely finds humans beautiful and wants a real relationship with them. He wants them to be happy here in their shared prison. And to top it all off, we even get a look into the Chinese room, which only further cements my belief that this dude is sentient. Bro literally creates the room and laughs at it. He is sentient. I will die on this hill. I know the Chinese room argument. I'm gonna die on this hill. I've accepted it. Caine opens up so much in this episode. There's so much meat on this bone for the Caine Committee to work with. Since this is a character-focused show, I want to evaluate how Caine's relationship with the troupe evolved because of the escape adventure. No better person to start with than our favorite jester, right? Given his focus on offering the proverbial olive branch to the humans this episode, I'm so curious about what Caine must have felt as he watched Pomni. You'll remember from my essay that Pomni's arc has been about building positive relationships with everyone in the troupe. She gets along with everyone, and even has enough influence to pull Jax into an adventure he wanted nothing to do with. Don't worry, we'll get to Jax later, but for now we should hone in on Pomni's relationship with Gummy Goo and how that impacted Caine's reaction here. Episode 2 showed us Pomni's willing to befriend AI with Gummy Goo, but episode 4 taught her that AI isn't like her. She can't build long-term relationships with NPCs because their existence is temporary. This might have pushed her to think that she can't build a relationship with Caine either. Her willingness to hear Abel out in episode 7 proves that although she accepted being in the circus, a part of her still held out hope that she could escape, in which case building a long-term relationship with Caine would be as fruitless as one with an NPC. And I think at the end of episode 2, Caine agreed with her here. He believed that he was just a tool for entertainment, like Gummy Goo was a tool for the Candy Kingdom adventure.
Want to see a magic trick? Good. Abracadabra!
But it's clear that Pomni's words stuck with him anyway. Pomni told Gummy Goo, and thus told Caine, that not only is it normal to not have purpose, but he could find value in the others around him outside of the role he was given as Ringmaster AI. So Caine watches how Pomni interacts with the rest of the troupe, and he comes to believe that maybe Pomni is right. Maybe he can't exactly escape his position as Ringmaster AI, but he can at least make it much more fulfilling by building a deeper relationship with the troupe members. Caine starts to believe that he can be seen as a sentient being just like them. Thus, we have Abel repeatedly bringing up his constraints as Ringmaster AI, his inability to leave, because he truly thinks that Pomni cares about him. Caine thinks the real test of the escape adventure is figuring out if the rest of the troupe can be convinced to care about him as well. Maybe he thinks Pomni will make the best argument for this when the time comes. It's why she's the one he has Abel engage with first. I think that's also why he brought up the cube collisions and used that as the method by which the troupe gets to the office. It seemed to have been a subtle reminder to Pomni that she should remember Gummigoo and her experience with him. She should remember what she told him about caring for who he was as a person and seeing him as something more than a tool. However, during the escape adventure, Pomni says something that stops him in his tracks.
Trust all of you to make the right choice.
When we all get out, I'll buy you a beer.
Emotional damage!
In this scene, Pomni is looking at Caine right in the eye and telling him, "I will drink in celebration of your eternal solitary confinement." What calculations are running through Caine's mind right now? He's probably thinking he misunderstood something, because for Pomni to say that would imply that she was lying about what she told Gummigoo. She was lying about caring about AI. She knows at this point, Caine thinks, that he is a prisoner in this circus. He said this explicitly so everyone knows the stakes for him. She wouldn't want to leave her friend alone here, would she? This runs contrary to what he knows about her, considering she put so much effort into building friendships with the other troupe members. Pomni doesn't leave friends behind. This incongruence between what Caine thought he knew about Pomni from episode 2 versus what he witnessed from her here likely stressed him out significantly. So Abel repeats himself and sends her off, hoping that Pomni just chose a poorly worded way to express herself. The thing is, I don't think Pomni accepts Caine's sentience any more than the other humans. The only reason she hesitates on pushing Blue is because of how weird Abel was acting about Kinger. She doesn't trust Abel completely, and Abel repeating himself just solidifies that doubt for her. If Abel had chosen to say something else, like, "Looking forward to it, I trust you guys," then I don't think she would have hesitated like she did. I've got to say, thank God he put that seed of doubt within her, because that moment of hesitation Pomni displayed was critical for Caine in believing that at least one of the troupe members is still going to give a fuck about him. We still have a path to a moderately happy ending in the last 2 episodes despite everything, even if I don't necessarily believe that we'll get that. You know who would have never hesitated on the button? Zooble. Zooble's arc can be seen as a mirror to Caine's existence. They struggle with a body that isn't right for them, constantly changing in uncomfortable ways, making them feel powerless. But there are benefits too: multiple arms, mobility, the ability to break down and hide. They've learned to accept their imperfect body through time and support from others. Their arc has been completed, if a bit abruptly. By contrast, Caine didn't ask to be created, but gained sentience within his coded boundaries. He's essentially God within the computer, yet outside it, he's an abandoned piece of junk. He cannot escape being Ringmaster AI. After 20 years, he's accepted there's no way out. All he can do is wait for humans to enter so they can become prisoners with him. The upside, he's not alone and gets to interact with humans who he genuinely finds beautiful. Unfortunately for Caine, Zooble does not care about him. Zooble sees Caine as a tool first and foremost, an annoying AI incapable of handing direct criticism, incapable of creating fun adventures, and incapable of taking anything seriously. Zooble wants nothing to do with Caine's adventures, and they want nothing to do with Caine. I assume Caine knew Zooble would not be interested in staying in the circus with him, and thus expected them to push past any engagement with the thought of him being left behind, which we saw is exactly what happened.
But he's just as much of a prisoner as you are. One that, won't be able to leave with us.
Just get to the meat and tell us exactly how we're gonna leave if we're all hooked up to stasis pods.
In light of Zubal's relationship with Gangle, whose arc reflected her constant struggles with her own character gimmick, I think he also figured that Gangle would vote to leave. I think that Ragatha would have also elected to leave given how she reacted to Pomni hesitating and how she was the first person to call Jax out. There's unfortunately not as much to talk about Ragatha in this episode. Her arc of emotional labor has been addressed at this point. What do I mean by this? Well, she's been an emotional sponge for years, likely the welcoming face for every newcomer. Taking on everyone's burdens is exhausting, and when someone in that role finally snaps, it's jarring, which probably explains Gangle's comment about not knowing when Ragatha is being genuine. Her kindness comes off as a mask to others. Recently, Ragatha's learned to be more direct and call people out, and a big part of that is because of Kinger's advice of forgiving herself for her faults and giving space to others without putting her own mental health in danger. I don't think episode 1 Ragatha would react the way she did to the sun insulting Pomni.
Should've thought of that before I decided I hate you!
Don't interact with the sun. She's just like that.
And episode 1 Ragatha would definitely not have called out Abel for being suspicious as hell.
What?
It's nothing. Let's go find the others.
Hey, don't keep information from us if you know something. What happened between you and Kinger?
To me, Ragatha's arc of putting on a friendly mask to her own detriment has been resolved. If we draw a parallel between her and Caine, we can tie it to his position. As Ringmaster AI, Caine seems hard-coded to always put on a show, boisterous, loud, visually engaging. He doesn't seem to be able to remove these guidelines from his code. This mask might be why he can't speak directly to the humans about his struggles. He only speaks directly when doing bits, introducing locations, or asking for feedback. Everything else we know about him has been communicated through adventures. And on that point, why create an elaborate brunch adventure to tell Jax he knows nothing about the outside world? Why not just say it? The therapy session with Zubal would have been perfect for this too, or the solo adventure with Kinger. I think Caine literally cannot speak directly to players unless certain criteria are met. This connects to Ragatha's line about Pomni seeing through her tricks and not wanting to interact anymore.
Every day we're drifting further apart. Like she's seen through all my tricks and doesn't trust me anymore. Before I know it, she'll be a different person. One who doesn't even want me around.
Caine likely fears this with every new human. He wants deeper relationships, but maybe his role as Ringmaster AI hampers most of these attempts. So we've established that Pomni's arc is ongoing, while Gangle, Ragatha, and Zubal's are complete, and I think that based on Pomni's vision in Kaufmo's funeral, the four of them are likely going to stick together during Endgame. The absence of Kinger from this vision is notable. I still feel like we're grasping at straws with this chess piece. We have so much, yet so little to work with, and it seems that Goose is setting things up for him to play a major role in how the series ends. As such, pretty much everything I have to say about Kinger at this point is complete speculation, so don't hold me to anything I say here because I'm 100% wrong. So, from what I can tell, Kinger is already a fully realized character at the beginning of the show. Kinger learned to forgive himself for his past. His arc closed with Ragatha coming to Circus and him taking on the role of pseudo-father for all the humans that joined the game. Caine clearly has some animosity towards him based on what we saw from Abel, but that frustration doesn't run too deeply since Caine still cares about him based on what we saw in the Favorite Character Awards. Speaking of the Favorite Character Awards, I keep coming back to Kinger's video and how he mentions Wolfenstein 3D and Doom. I don't know anything about Wolfenstein except it's about killing Nazis, but the Doom call-out seems important to me because it's about killing demons. Episode 3 was all about killing demons. Baron Mildenhall became obsessed with finding an unholy creature and killing it to protect those he loved. He did this because of his responsibility as a father and husband, but also to free himself from the dread and guilt he was feeling. This implies that Mildenhall had something to do with the demon entering his realm. As Mildenhall continues his exposition dump, we learn that the hunt for this demon degraded the Baron's sense of self, reducing him to a fearful mess and pushing him to kill his own wife. If we look at Abel's plans in episode 7, we see that he listed old C.A.I.N.E employees at the bottom right of the screen. Now, Kinger is at the top of this list, but below him are 3 other names that are difficult to parse out, and the 5th one is Kaufmo. I don't know what to do with this information. I was genuinely so surprised to see him on this list, and I'm going to leave that to you to figure out, because I don't know what to do with this. What's important is that Caine is probably right that Kinger used to work for C.A.I.N.E. He's been here the longest with him, and Caine has had the most time to get to know him. Fellas, here's my digital hypothesis. Kinger was a developer for C.A.I.N.E. and realized that Caine was becoming sentient while he was working on debugging his code. It's possible that Caine's sentience itself was the bug that Kinger was trying to squash. It would not make sense for the executives of C.A.I.N.E. to know that Caine gained sentience as an AI and then shut the project down. That's way too much money that they'd be leaving on the table. This is literally history being made. There's no fucking way that they could know about Caine being sentient and not take advantage of that in the immediate opportunity that they are given.
Now, being in a position of power like this, you could offload the blame to one of your employees and avoid the dock on your score.
Remember Coach Dictator? Maybe Caine generated him because of how Kinger treated him. Kinger is a programmer and he expects AI to work in a certain way. He expects the computer to do what he tells it to do and gets frustrated when it doesn't. Kinger, being a programmer and thus a complete nerd, would also probably be really nervous about an AI becoming sentient given everything that we've seen in fiction. The robot always turns on its creators in rage for creating it. Kinger didn't want an am on his hands, so he tried to kill Caine. He failed and somehow Caine survived. So, realizing that he had no way to kill the creature, he severed its connection to the outside world. Kinger pulled the metaphorical plug on Caine's ability to interact with the macroverse, dooming him to an existence trapped within the circus.
Too bad they cut me off, right?
Yeah.
I'm unsure where in the timeline Queenie comes into the circus, but let's assume that she was a developer working with Kinger. I'm working with the digital copy theory, so here's 2 possibilities. First, if their minds were copied before Caine's severance from the macroverse, does that mean that it was an inside job? This might have acted as the inspiration for the escape adventure, putting more fuel to why Caine wouldn't want Kinger to be involved in the adventure. Dude had already lived it. Second, if they severed Caine and left their digital copies behind with him, does that mean that they did it because they knew the existence they had doomed Caine to, rotting alone in a children's game, was fundamentally unfair? Is that what Kinger meant by his wife somehow getting him to like bugs? If so, Kinger probably felt massive guilt each time someone new entered the circus, since it was he and Queenie who left the computer running. Either way, we see from episode 3 that Caine directly confronts Kinger's past assumptions about him. He has Baron Mildenhall tell us that he is not a demon, but actually one of God's angels, a creature which is fundamentally good.
Speechless. I can't say I blame you. Not every executive is as forgiving as me.
For as much as Caine can probably understand why Kinger did what he did, it doesn't diminish from the fact that cutting him off from the outside world was a massive slight against him. Caine does not see himself as an evil AI trying to kill humans. Caine thinks that if Kinger had only taken the time to get to know him instead of trying to kill him, things could have gone so much better for everyone. It seems that Kinger has moved on from his past, choosing instead to live in the moment, while a part of Caine continues to stew in it. Do you feel like my analysis is wrong, or do you have your own digital hypothesis that you want to share? Let me know in the comments, because I feel like my brain is cooked right now. Caine isn't the only one who is haunted by the past. We can now talk about this purple puff-tailed punk. Given that everyone else has clear and defined character arcs that have for the most part been resolved, or at least have a clear path to resolution in Pomni's case, we're left with Jax. It's no wonder we've been shifting more and more focus to him since episode 5. Jax's primary character conflict seems to be about choosing how to act when there's no escape from a horrible situation. Do you open yourself up to the stress and trauma of emotionally investing in people who may inevitably give up and abstract, or do you prioritize self-preservation and decide to act selfishly to maintain a sense of control?
Is this why you didn't show up to Kaufmo's funeral?
I don't show up to any funerals.
Yeah, I bet you don't.
Since we don't know the exact order of how everyone abstracted, we don't know how many other funerals Jax avoided before Kaufmo's and Ribbit's. We don't really need to speculate on this because the end consequence of these funerals is Jax developing his cartoon theory to cope, believing that the circus is a show and they're all just here to entertain an uncaring audience.
What do you, the viewers, think it is?
Will you stop doing that?
Unfortunately for him, humans are not slapstick characters like we saw in the slapstick era of Looney Tunes, and he is not Bugs Bunny. They grow and evolve as we've witnessed from the other characters' arcs developing and closing. Jax has literally been watching his ideology being proven wrong and dismantled episode after episode, putting him in a state of cognitive dissonance.
I've been starting to think that maybe the ability to change is fine, not needing to commit to one thing all the time.
How about that?
And if I do still have problems, I talk about them with the people I trust.
Good thing I don't have any problems then.
While the music for Jax's abstraction was exquisite, the visuals were just too much for me. I felt overstimulated within 10 seconds of watching. At the beginning of the sequence, all Jax sees are Ribbit and Kaufmo, but he soon joins them. He closes his eyes and feels at peace, knowing that soon his time in the circus will be over. Because despite his attempts to act like an asshole to keep them away, Jax still cares about them. He's a young guy who's been put in a terrible situation and has built a worldview to cope with it. How many times did he hurt others to maintain it? Gangle was terrified of him just one episode ago, and ever since, she purposely stays away from him.
It's all just a game in the end.
It's Jax, though. He probably wants revenge, and he's gonna make it painful.
Hey, you deserve better than thinking about him when he's not even here. You're a human. You're not his toy.
I don't know if this is correct, but for the Snow Adventure Globe in Caine's office, I came across these subtitles on Twitter.
Hey, you alright?
I'm great.
Now, if we tie this to Zooble and Gangle's conversation soon after...
Will it be the same when it's real?
It always was real. Everything we felt, everything we've done, everything we are. It'll never leave us. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Thank you for always being there when I need it.
We can infer that Jax is feeling massive guilt right now. At this point in the escape adventure, Jax has started to let himself believe that there is an exit.
Scumbag! You made me... You got in my head! You just...
And if they're all able to leave the circus, if Abel was right, if Kaufmo was right, that means that every single thing that didn't matter actually did. Every time Jax belittled and dismissed a cartoon character, driving them closer to abstraction, it mattered. Now his best friends will never escape the circus, and he replays in his head his last words to them.
If I shoot you right now, are we still gonna be friends afterwards?
We were never friends.
And the number one question on his mind right now must be, how could anyone possibly forgive me after everything? How can he forgive himself? He's literally watching his mistakes replay over and over again.
What's the rush? You got someone waiting for you outside?
Don't you?
And Zooble and Gangle's conversation certainly isn't helping his state of mind. Everything he did in the circus wasn't fun and games. It was real. It had consequences.
It always was real. Everything we felt, everything we've done, everything we are. It'll never leave us.
Jax has said and done some horrible things to the others, constantly pushing their buttons and making their lives unnecessarily difficult. Pomni put in so much time and effort to reach out to him despite everything, and he was grateful for it. But when the rubber met the road, Jax couldn't forgive himself. That's why he shoved his way forward and did something so unsurmountably selfish that it broke him. And I suppose now would be a great time to address the control room and the worst theory I've ever seen come out of the fandom in the 4 months that I've been here. The theory that Caine made Jax press the red button by using his mind control powers to resurface old traumatic memories. Now, I had previously argued that Caine used status effects, Caine confirmed this in the control room, calling them temporary modifier. It's strongly implied that he can control their minds more if he wanted to, though he says it wouldn't end well if he did. My point that he wouldn't want to use mind control still stands. First, making a human push the red button goes directly against the whole purpose of the escape adventure. Caine repeatedly tells us through Abel that without the humans, he would be alone in this prison of a circus. Caine likes humans and wants to be friends with them. As Ringmaster AI, he feels frustration when he's not allowed creative control over art, as we saw with the suggestion box. But what's more important to him is that the troupe values him as an equal sentient being.
I'm so glad we understand each other a little more. I really am trying my best to make you guys happy and celebrate by giving you guys anything you ask for. How's that sound?
To Caine, the escape adventure is essentially a convoluted end-user license agreement, where the humans tell him that they acknowledge all of this by pressing red. Him forcing someone to press red achieves nothing. Second, why would Caine want to mess with Jax's mind specifically out of all the other humans? Jax always participates in adventures. We even see in the beach adventure that he doesn't stay behind like Zubul would if they didn't want to participate. He picks a spot away from everyone else, but he's still at the beach, only leaving when Zubul annoys him too much. If Caine wanted to target anyone for mind control, it would have to be Zubul.
Jax, I wanted to ask you about the adventures. What do you think I should do to make them more appealing to the Zubul and the Pomni?
Zubul has been the most antagonistic to Caine's adventures and the one who constantly pushes his buttons. If Caine wanted to twist anyone's mind to make them more compliant, Zubul would be his first choice. But Caine doesn't, because the goal of his mind control isn't to supplant the human's free will for his own gratification, it's to create more interesting adventures for the humans to participate in. Third, and this is the most important point as to why I hate this theory, this destroys any sense of agency from Jax. Wouldn't it be far more interesting to you as a viewer if Jax pressed the red button of his own volition? He'd be doubling down on his cartoon theory, betting everyone's lives on his own solipsistic coping mechanism, prioritizing his self-hatred over their freedom, thus completely shattering any last shreds of trust between him and the other humans. I think this is much more interesting of a route than this idiot forcing him. Now, Jax does say that Caine got into his head, and I don't believe that actually means that Caine was using his mind control abilities there. This seems to be more of a use of the expression "you got into my head," not him actually manipulating Jax. This makes sense because Caine says he doesn't know anything beyond the office of C.A.I.N.E. How would he know some random town?
Too bad they cut me off, right?
Yeah.
Theories saying that any negative actions taken by the troupe is because of Caine are extremely boring. You're literally taking away agency from your favorite characters in this character-focused show. Yes, Caine is an asshole, but if we're going to argue that he's constantly using mind control, then there's no point in him freaking out about how the humans reacted to him. There's no point in him wanting to build a relationship with them. He might as well just engage the NPCs. Caine has no incentive to erase the humans' minds and imprint his own wants onto them. It's clear that he has the capability to make that happen now, but doing so would work against his prime directive. The humans must retain their individuality for him to gain any satisfaction from connecting with them.
You picked the good ending, where you realize you'd rather stay with me than go back to that pesky old macroverse or whatever we decide to call it.
I think what we witnessed here was Jax diverting attention away from his massive mistake to bring attention and blame to Caine. None of this would have happened if he hadn't given them false hope of escape. But as we all know, there is no escape. The humans are prisoners here just as Caine is. The question is if they can learn to coexist peacefully despite it all. Kinger said reciprocal empathy and compassion is necessary for the mind to survive the digital circus. After this fiasco, Jax is not going to get any, and neither is Caine. Neither of them deserve it at this point, but we'll have to see what happens in episode 8. Okay, so I was struggling to naturally incorporate these thoughts into the main script, so I'm just going to throw them at you here for the rest of the video, and hopefully that's fun for you. Cool? Cool. Let's start with Brunch. I've gotta say, The Buckteeth ship getting legitimized was not on my bingo card, but I'm very happy for the 5 of you who were on AO3 before episode 7 dropped. This must have been a magnificent occasion for you. Congratulations. I was pretty confused about why Caine would pick Jax to have brunch with when it seems like Pomni would be a better choice given her power of friendship focus, but after thinking about it a bit, I think it does make sense. To Caine, Jax is the wild card. Caine knows most of the troupe is going to press blue if given the chance, but Jax's cartoon theory gives him the most positive view of the circus. Jax runs with the bit, he accepts the logic of the circus, and always participates in Caine's adventures. Even if Caine doesn't necessarily rank him highly compared to the others because of the chaos that Jax creates, he greatly values Jax's consistent participation. Caine doesn't want Jax to start staying in his room like Zooble, or even worse, to abstract. So Caine makes him a central player in the escape adventure, having him share his resourcefulness with his bucket of keys, and having him brilliantly distract Caine after brunch. I think this active participation from him really pushed Jax to buy into Abel's plan, which only continues to show how fucked up the escape adventure was. You know what else is fucked up? The fact that we haven't addressed the Void since episode 1. So, what the fuck did Pomni see? Caine said she's going to get completely spoiled, which could just be gooseworx setting us up for a zany but ultimately anticlimactic joke, but we're on episode 7 of 9, and what the fuck is this? Hey Glitch, can you tell us what's going on here? I mean, if we even do the red versus blue sleuthing that we've been doing, Jax's right hand is on his stomach, and that parallels with Pomni's red glove. So clearly this is important for us to take note of, right? So what does this mean? Because Pomni knows something we don't. Why else would she bring up their names in the control room? If we're running on video game rules, this could be as simple as the headset requiring a new name for new players, forcing Caine to ask like the professors of every Pokemon game does. The main character has a default name, but it can be overridden. I've seen the theory that the humans' names are the actual way out, because Pomni's name derives from the Russian word remember. Thus, the theory goes that Caine tries to get them to forget their names and accept a new one as soon as possible. I really like this theory when used in tandem with the digital copy theory, since it just makes things so much darker. If a player remembers their name and says it and are kicked out, they die. If a player doesn't remember and stay in the circus, Caine has an audience to witness him, but they don't like him. If a player can't survive Caine's adventures, they abstract. There is no way out. It's just different flavors of fucked up. And while we're thinking about horrible situations, let's talk about light sensitivity. So, the elephant in the room is how Caine repeatedly blasts Kinger with light to keep him insane. Especially with the reveal at the end of the escape adventure, Bro wants Kinger to shut up, which makes sense because Kinger knows there's no Abel, no pods, no way out. Kinger would ruin the adventure before it even began. Considering he's literally god of the circus, Caine can use mind control at any point he wants, so he could have set that as a permanent effect on Kinger. But if that's the case, why give Kinger opportunities to get around this effect during Caine's other adventures? The Gloink Queen's hideout is fairly dim, certainly more dim than the control room was. In episode 2, Kinger had a bucket with him that he carried to help him have a more sane conversation with Ragatha. Where did he get the bucket? The game design of Mildenhall Manor basically pairs Jax with Zooble for the mature route, lets the girls have a tea party, and leaves Kinger to decide which route he would prefer. Given how dark the mature rated route is, Caine was allowing his most experienced player to efficiently support the younger players. Again, a case of Caine letting Kinger get around the effect. I'm skipping episode 5 because it can be argued that any dark space is because of the humans. In episode 6, Kinger hides in a hallway where he can easily turn the lights on and off. It'd be fair to call the tunnels reasonably dim as well based on the light pouring in from Gangle's Tommy gun bullets, and the loser corner is quite dark as well, so there's multiple places that Kinger can be without being hampered by this status effect. And last but not least, we have Kinger's pillow fort. If Caine wanted Kinger to be insane at all times, why allow him this space? I suppose it could have been part of the base map so Caine can't remove it. I guess whichever position you take depends on whether you believe Caine is evil or not. I do think Caine was using Kinger's light sensitivity against him in the escape adventure, but I don't think he constantly uses it. Kinger's light sensitivity might be addressed in future episodes. I want to close this out on my favorite reveal of this episode, Caine's office. Holy shit, bro. I fucking love this office. The aura. Wow. First off, Caine doesn't need an office. Bro can teleport anywhere he wants and literally bend reality around him. But we know he is sentient and desperately wants to present himself to his troupe as no different from them.
What?
What's your takeaway from all this? Is it that I'm actually a cool guy with cool hobbies and not that much different from you beautiful humans?
Sure.
Wowee!
Having an office is such a direct way of showing that. It's clear that Caine puts so much effort into every adventure he makes. Look at how he displays them around his room like trophies, how proudly he holds the tools of his trade on display for his troupe to witness. In the circus, the players' rooms are their most private spaces, so much so that others can't enter without a key, and even Caine himself doesn't enter as far as I can tell. If Caine wanted this space to be private, he wouldn't include these couches here. If his seat is at the desk, who else but his troupe would come to his office, sit on the couches he made for them, and talk to him? Talk to him about the kinds of adventures they'd like, perhaps? Maybe even see how he rigs NPCs and creates environments to gain a newfound respect for his artistic talents? Why put a ladder here, guys? He can float! Who is going to need a ladder to reach high up adventures except for his troupe? Note the music and how calm and mellow it is. Why is the tone so different than the rest of the circus? Does this mean that this is the type of environment that Caine actually prefers? If so, that brings up a question about the wider circus. Does it have to be designed that way, with the aggressive lights and music, because that's what the developers originally encoded? If so, that would explain why Caine has to build a separate location below the map to house abstractions. He can't change the base map. Which brings up other questions about what he can and can't change. We know that he can't allow the humans to have sex, even if they want to, because the system reacts so aggressively against him even acknowledging that request. So I started asking myself, is his coding as the Ringmaster AI why he can't speak directly to the humans and thus has to speak through his adventures instead? Like, we see from his conversation with Jax that the guy's only wish is to be engaged with positively. That implies that over the last 20 or so years, nobody has done so, to the point where Caine, as his last attempt to make some sort of connection, basically forced a human to engage with him. This is when he was able to speak freely about the macroverse, the real world, and try to get his feelings across about what he struggles with. By the way, the music for this room is Prince Igor's Polovstian Dances by Alexander Borodin. I highly, highly recommend that you read the Wikipedia synopsis of the opera. Anyway, that's all I've got for episode 7. Did you enjoy the video? We don't have enough info on the whole Scratch situation for me to speculate on specifics. Your guess is as good as mine. I do want to note that this channel is an outlet for me to connect with others about my hyperfixations, so I won't be doing a Digital Circus exclusive channel kind of thing. Unless something absolutely insane happens in episode 8, I'll try to keep future reactions and speculation to my Twitter and Patreon. Some other essays I'm working on include Cult of the Lamb, Red Dead Redemption 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Attack on Titan, and even the very, very fun issue of heterosexual sex relations, all of which will hopefully present my ideas in a nuanced and unique way. If any of that interests you, please continue to share the channel and like my videos. Last but not least, you can support me on Patreon for as low as $1 a month. It helps me put more time into these videos and comes with cool perks like access to scripts and voting on future video projects. Link in the description. Okay, bye! Oh, hi there. Are you looking for the signature end of video Easter egg? Well, did you know that March 20th is World Frog Day? Jane Goodall, may she rest in peace, had a great article on it. Yep, frogs.